Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. We appreciate you joining us. My name is Isabella Perry, and I'm going to be your moderator for today. This presentation will be discussing your ongoing relationship with PJR. It'll be presented by Joe Krolikowski, our PJR QMS and ABMS program manager. Now we're going to go over some quick housekeeping. Note all attendees are muted. There will be a Q&A at the end of today's presentation. If you have any questions for our presenter, please use the question portion of the GoToWebinar control panel. The slides and recording will be available on our website, www.pjr.com, in the webinar section after this presentation. Any additional questions, please contact us on our website. I'm going to run a quick poll for you guys. You just have a few seconds to answer. Okay, I appreciate all those responses. Now Joe is going to take it away with discussing today's topic.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. Our topics for today, this is the ongoing relationship with PJR webinar. It's kind of a two-parter. We talk about, first off in this presentation, we're going to be going over what happens when things change in your quality management system and how you need to involve PJR. We'll go over how that can at times lead to what the industry refers to as a short notice audit. And then we're going to shift gears and talk about the dispute process. And we're going to kind of go over that kind of from front to back. We'll give you a sense of how that process is supposed to work and if you should ever need to use it. Now, we do view ourselves as a partner in your certification, and that's from day one. The day you sign your contract with us, we are your partner in this certification process. And this is going to extend, obviously, beyond the initial certification audit. We want you to keep us involved when you face challenges in your quality management system. We want you to use the resources that we offer to get the most out of your certification efforts. Now, obviously, change is sometimes inevitable. And some companies, it seems, they have more changes than others. Now, some changes obviously are going to be of minimal impact. They will have no effect on what is going to happen for you in the long run. Some changes can have dramatic impact on your business, on your future. So whenever you have a change that is going to potentially impact your certification, we ask that you keep us informed so that we can take the proper actions in response to that change. Now, just so you are aware, any PJR contracted client is bound by the official terms and conditions. Now, we've established those in a form called F3. It's actually F3TC. And that document is available. It's public domain. It's right on our website. You can find it under registration document download. If you go to PJR's website, right at the very bottom of the homepage, you'll find the link for that. Now, the F3 includes a provision that reads as follows. It is incumbent upon the organization to notify PJR in writing and in a timely fashion of material changes. Now, our requirement is rooted in a requirement that we are held accountable to, and that is the ISO 17021 series of standards, specifically Section 853, where it talks about notice of changes from a certified client. Now, our F3 then goes on to explain what do we mean by a material change. Well, there are actually three categories of material change. The first of these is legal. Now, this refers to, obviously, the legal nature of your organization. So this is going to touch on things like Who owns the organization? What is the legal status of your organization? Are you a corporation? Are you an LLC? Etc. Now, if something changes that is of a legal nature, it may or may not have an impact on your certification. It is possible. It is the second category is material change, which you can think of as operational. I misspoke there. The second type of material change is operational. Now, this is going to include changes in what is your scope? What is it that you intend to be certified for? Have you had changes in your management system, in your processes? Have you had changes in who's making decisions, who your technical staff is, changes in your head count? Now, most of the time, operational changes are going to have some kind of impact on your certification and potentially on your contract with PJR. The last category of change is physical. So this is going to refer to things like where are you located? How many sites do you have? Could also mean that if you have had some kind of significant change to the site that you're in. This could include damage from a fire. This could include an addition that you've built on, etc. Now, most of the time, physical changes are going to bear some impact on your certification and therefore your contract with PJR. Now, in terms of what we are obligated to do about a material change, again, referring back to the 17021 standard, we are required to take action as appropriate in response to the reported change. Now, as to what that action is and when it takes place, well, it's dependent on the nature of the change and the impact of that change on your certificate. Now, some changes will be judged as having little to no impact at all and may require no action by PJR. Now, almost all material changes will require that a contractual amendment be written to capture the change and document its mutual approval both by PJR and by our client. Now, ideally, the reported change will be assessed as part of the normal auditing cycle. Unfortunately, that is not always possible. And this is where we have what are referred to as short notice audits. Again, we refer back to 17021. This time it's clause 9642, where it states that PJR is to perform audits of certified clients at short notice in response to changes. Now, we've put this verbiage into our F3 as well, which makes it a binding part of your contract. Now, again, depending on the nature of the change, we refer to short notice audits by one of a few internal titles. We have what we refer to as a scope expansion. Now, it's typically called a scope expansion if we are adding a new building or a new site to your certification. It's also possible that we will use that term if we are expanding what you're certified for. So if we're talking about new products, new processes, what have you, that is where that term would also potentially be used. We also have a term that we call on-site assessment, or OA. Now that term is intended to be kind of a catch-all for any short notice audit that isn't technically a scope expansion. Now, some of the other scopes and schemes that we certify for have their own terminology. For ITF, it's referred to as a special audit. Special audits fall under ITF rules that should say 6th edition requirements. We'll have that fixed in post here. And in AS91 standards, it's referred to as special audits for aerospace. But in the aerospace case, the 17021-1 requirements are still followed. If it's ITF, the special audits follow the ITF rules. So what can you expect during a short notice audit? Well, generally they are going to follow the same steps as a regularly sequenced audit. You're going to get an audit plan. You'll have an opening and closing meeting with the auditor. There will be interviews with staff members and review of company documentation, just like any other regular audit. The difference is that the special audit, the short notice audit, is intended to be a targeted sampling of the change itself. So let's take, for example, a site relocation. Let's say that you've moved up the road or even across state lines to a new building. Here's what we would likely sample. We would look for discussion of the site change as part of your management review. We would look to see that you've done an internal audit at your new building. We would look to see that you've updated all of your documentation, your policies, your procedures, etc., to reflect your new location. Have you updated your advertising? Have you drawn up updates to your contracts with your customers and potentially with your suppliers? Have you gotten your equipment set up and had your maintenance steps deployed? What about new hire team members? Depending on how far you've moved, you may have brought on an entirely new team, and you need to ensure that these folks are trained and competent. Have you given notice to your customers and to your other interested parties? And moreover, what change to your scope does this new site represent, if any? Now, obviously, not all of these things may be in play, depending on what the relocation involved, but certainly all of these things need to be considered. If there is an ownership change and we conclude that we need to do a special short notice audit to respond to this, the list is a little bit shorter. We're going to be looking at changes in the operational management of the organization. We're going to be looking at process or process control changes. And again, we're going to look to see, was notice given to customers and interested parties, and has there been any impact in the scope of operations? One more example, if you have added new products or processes, there are, again, some similar things that we're going to be looking at. Management review and internal audit, documentation, and again, equipment. If you're running new products, was it necessary for you to acquire new equipment? Is it set up? Is it running? How are you performing maintenance on that new equipment, etc.? Have you provided training for anyone that you had to newly hire for your new processes or new products? Now, it is always possible in an audit for there to be nonconformances, and a short notice audit is no different. If there is a nonconformance that is issued during a short notice audit, it is subject to the same expectations as those on your regularly scheduled audits. That's going to mean you're going to have a defined period of time to respond. You're going to have to provide root cause analysis, corrective action, etc. Now, obviously, if this is a locational change especially, one of the first questions that we get is, well, when are we going to get our new certificate? In most cases, what's going to happen is your auditor will obviously prepare a certificate application. They will discuss with you the content of that certificate application, just to make sure that everybody's in agreement with the scope revision, if there is one, to make sure the address is correct, etc. And then we do follow our standard process for review and approval of audit packages. Now, obviously, if this is an emergency, if you've got a rather significant contract that's contingent on getting your updated certificate, etc., we will definitely work with you to respond to those types of requests. Okay, so let's shift gears now and talk about the dispute process. Now, believe it or not, PJR has over 6,000 active certifications. in a wide variety of industries and territories. We've got clients in countries like England, Jamaica, Italy, Germany, and even some more exotic places like Guatemala and Thailand. Now, in spite of all of those clients in all of those areas, we have, on average, fewer than 20 disputes a year. So let's go ahead and explore this topic a bit. Let's learn a little bit about the dispute process. So first of all, what is a dispute? Well, the term dispute has no official definition in either 17021 or the 19,011 guidance standard. The term appeal is used in section 9.7, but that term doesn't have any official definition either. Disputes or appeals are generally understood as an officially filed disagreement on the part of the auditee to one or more of the conclusions reached in the audit process. And typically, what's being disputed is a nonconformance. Now, typically, a dispute is going to be filed for one of two things. Either the auditor and auditee are at an impasse as to the merits of the evidence, or the auditor and the auditee are at an impasse as to the merits of the relevant audit criteria. I suppose it's possible that they are at an impasse on both of those things at the same time. Now, what should you do before you file a dispute? Well, we have trained our auditors to be forthright in sharing suspected nonconformances with the auditees from the moment they are discovered. We tell our auditors this is not something that you want to keep a secret. You definitely want to make sure that you are telling your client when you think you have a nonconformance, because we want to give you a chance to present all of the available evidence. In that way, if the auditor is going to issue a nonconformance, they know that they are making an informed decision. In other words, they've looked at everything that's available, and they know that they're making the right call. Now, if all available evidence has been seen and auditor and auditee are still kind of in a disagreement as to the merits of the nonconformance, we've trained our auditors to document the nonconformance and move on. And we do that for a number of reasons, but most importantly, time that is spent arguing is time taken away from the auditing process. And this is going to potentially impact the auditor's ability to meet the audit objectives, which may impact our ability to issue or uphold your certificate. So bottom line, if you've talked it through, you've looked at all the evidence and there's still disagreement, agree to disagree and move on. That's what we're trying to say here. Okay, so again, we look to 17021, this time section 971. PJR is required to have a documented process to receive, evaluate, and make decisions on appeals. Our process is Pro 10. That's what we call our dispute procedure. Pro 10 is available for download anytime from PJR's website. You just need, again, go to our homepage at pjr.com, go to the bottom of the page, you'll find the link titled Registration Document Download. You can obtain our Pro 10 and review the process yourself. Now, your dispute process begins by reaching out to PJR's team at headquarters and requesting a copy of PJR Form 217, which is our dispute resolution request form. We also have an online version of that form, which we can provide you the link for. Now, dispute requests are due to PJR within 15 calendar days of the end of your audit. And also, bear in mind, if you are disputing multiple nonconformances, we do require a separate F217 for each nonconformance you are disputing. Now, the top portion of the F217 provides you a space to record basic information about the audit. What is the name of your company? Who was your auditor? What date are you filing this request, etc. Now, the resolution request is the primary section, and there are 4 fields that you need to fill in. Certification criteria. This is going to be used to capture the nonconformance number that was assigned by the auditor. Auditor or CB finding. Now, this should be a summary or even a direct copy of the nonconformance that was issued by the auditor. Justification for dispute request. This should be a summary of why you are disagreeing with the nonconformance. You should present any points of disagreement, any relevant evidence that you're citing, other relevant points, what have you. And then lastly, description of attachments. Now, this should be a summary of what you have provided to PJR to substantiate your dispute. Now, this evidence can be in any format. Now, once we have received all necessary dispute paperwork from you, we will act to schedule a dispute hearing for you. Now, that is going to be led by our dispute chairperson, and it will include the following participants. It will include someone from your organization, whoever is filing this dispute. You will need to have someone to sit for the dispute hearing. The auditor who wrote the nonconformance will be part of the hearing. And then there will be a dispute panel. Now, this will be 3 lead auditors from the scheme, and that by that we mean ISO 9001, 14001, etc. And these will be the folks that will make the final decision on the disputed item. Now, all sides are given ample time to present their side of the situation, and the dispute panel may have questions for both auditee and auditor. Now, after the dispute hearing is concluded, the dispute panel has a private discussion and they render their final decision on the disputed item. Now, the dispute panel's decision is considered final and binding, and you will receive a copy of all completed dispute decisions. Now, there are 3 possible outcomes following the dispute process. The disputed nonconformance is upheld. In that case, the dispute committee has rejected your argument, and you must respond to the nonconformance in the prescribed fashion. Second opportunity or possibility, the disputed nonconformance is overturned. In that case, the committee has accepted your argument and has instructed the auditor to remove the nonconformance from the official audit report. Now, you should expect to receive an updated audit report in those cases. Lastly, the disputed nonconformance is upheld, but has been reduced or revised. Now, that usually refers to a situation where a portion of the nonconformance is seen as legitimate, but something else may need to be removed. It's also possible that there was a major nonconformance, and the dispute panel has made the decision to reduce it to a minor nonconformance. It is also possible that the NCR was warranted, but it needs to be revised in order to make more sense. There needs to be some different detail or additional detail provided. If this is the decision, you should expect, again, to receive an updated audit report in those cases. Now, in conclusion, we want our clients to think of us as a trusted partner in the certification process on audit day and beyond. We do hope you will keep us in the loop when things come up and let us use our many resources to your benefit. I would like to invite you to tune in for one of our other webinars. We have a presentation on our Pro 3 and the proper way to promote your certification. Now, this is there's a lot of requirements on how to advertise your certification the right way. If you happen to be newly certified and you want to make sure that you are doing things the right way in terms of promoting your certification, this is a great webinar for you to check out. We also have a very popular webinar that we've offered for some time on the interaction of processes and its importance to a successful audit. Now, we present that webinar on a semi-annual basis. It goes over what do we mean by processes and making sure that you've defined them correctly, again, with an eye towards making sure that the audit goes smoothly. And we've got webinars on a lot of other topics, stage 1 auditing, ITF 16949, and so forth. Now, if you'd like to be kept informed of the latest news automatically, the best way for you to do that is to, again, visit our website at pjr.com. Go to the bottom of the page, enter your email address in the provided space, and click subscribe. You will be opted in for future updates, and this is going to include things like changes to the standards, upcoming webinars, and other helpful points of information. I do want to thank everybody for their time. Again, if you've got questions, let's go ahead and unlock the question portion of the dashboard. As a reminder, this presentation will be made available via our YouTube channel. And also, if you want to get a copy of the slides, you can obtain those from our website. So do we have any questions here before we let everybody go? Okay, fantastic. Thank you all so much. Have a great day.